You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts.
All right, Black and White Sports supporters, let's talk about Mike Tomlin's future and some interesting comments from a former NFL quarterback who took the Philadelphia Eagles to a Super Bowl and won the damn thing. And I'm talking about Nick Foles because he's got some very interesting comments about Mike Tomlin. It'll raise your eyebrows a little bit. I've kind of got the sense that this might be possible. That now, Jimmy Johnson, it should be noted, had a little bit of a philosophy like this. You know, he once famously said something to the effect of, you know, if your backup safety or linebacker or somebody like that falls asleep in a meeting, you cut his ass. If Troy Aikman falls asleep in a meeting, you get him a pillow. and Jimmy said there was a very clear line between his badass dudes and the rest of the guys on the team. In other words, Jimmy knew the guys that was going to win in ball games, the triplets, right? How about Charles Haley? I mean, the whole, we all know who those guys were. This is interesting. We also got a new, interesting potential destination. If this heads towards separation, like a lot of people believe it might for Mike Tomlin, that it's run its course and after the season, maybe both parties will choose to go their own way. He might, in theory, be replacing another current veteran coach in the league on a team that we talk about a lot on this channel. We talked about a lot about Chip Kelly and how that offense was a disaster. By the way, Chip Kelly's out there running his mouth trying to save face, all these various reports. I wasn't being allowed to run my offense. And we're also finding out now behind the scenes, oh no, that's bullshit. Chip Kelly was running his system and it was a disaster. Like it always is in the NFL. I will say this though, and what's odd, I brought up Chip Kelly just now. Nick Foles had an unbelievable season under Chip Kelly with the Eagles. I don't know if anybody remembers that. Nick Foles had his best season outside of that whole Super Bowl, whatever. He had that one huge year with the Eagles under Chip Kelly. Isn't it strange how things work like that randomly? But the rest of quarterbacks that's ever gotten around Chip Kelly fall off a cliff. Let's check this out. Mike Tomlin has been the Steelers coach since 2007. He's accomplished a lot. He's won a Super Bowl and still never had a losing season. That has long since lost its luster in Pittsburgh. Tomlin has been getting a lot of criticism recently because of the Steelers' struggles. I saw where James Harrison came out and was like, yeah, maybe it's time. Ben Roethlisberger was like, yeah, maybe it's time. Maybe you could go anywhere, maybe even Penn State, who still don't have a coach, and judging by their recruiting, don't have a recruiting class. Last I checked, 150th in the country. I mean, you want to talk about James Franklin's firing totally backfiring. That totally backfired. I'm shocked they haven't hired Brian Kelly. I'm shocked they haven't called Brian Kelly and been like, come on down. And I do. I think Brian Kelly works more in a northern setting like Pennsylvania, and he was great at Notre Dame and yada, yada, yada. He never was a fit in the South. They're 6-6 in serious danger of missing the playoffs. While Tomlin has been one of the NFL's best head coaches for most of his tenure, former quarterback Nick Foles has heard Tomlin's coaching style isn't perfect. Quote, Mike Tomlin has to be the elite leader that holds guys accountable, Foles said recently on his The Season podcast. God, everybody's got a podcast. That's the thing I've heard with guys in the past with Tomlin. Though he's had an amazing career, an amazing legacy there, maybe not always holding guys accountable the right way. Star players get away with a little too many things. They can be late to meetings. That all adds up. When I was with Andy Reid, I don't care if you were a star player or not. He treated you the same. He held you accountable. The Steelers have had their fair share of problematic star players, while Tomlin's been their head coach. Antonio Brown is the best example. Brown was one of the best players in the league during the heights of his power. However, he created a lot of headaches, and that was even more evident when he left the Steelers. Tomlin was able to get the best out of Brown, so maybe that's more of a testament to his skills. There are some more recent examples too. George Pickens didn't produce like Brown, but he often displayed great abilities like Brown. Pickens had issues that came along with his talent. Reports indicated that Pickens showed up late to games when he was a Steeler. He also struggled to control his emotions on the field. Is that Tomlin's fault that those players acted like that? No. However, as the head coach, it's a job to discipline and set the tone for culture. It's also unclear who Foles' source is, whether that information is true. Some of Tomlin's former players have come out in the past and talked about how he treats every player the same. Well, I'm sure Nick Foles knows what he's talking about, or he wouldn't just go out there and say it. I mean, all these guys know other guys that's either played on the team or they show up on their team having played under Tomlin. We all know how this works. And Nick Foles played for different teams. So he knows. I mean, he knows. That's easy to figure out. He's heard that from either a previous coordinator or whatever. I saw one story before I hit record on this that maybe Matt Canada wasn't really the problem. Steeler fans just had a heart attack. But you got to wonder, because that offense looks kind of the same, to be honest. It doesn't look great. Let's come over here. The Raiders. Head coach Pete Carroll, inability to maximize Las Vegas talent in year one, already has him on the hot seat, according to NFL Network's Ian Rappaport. That's never good when Ian says you're on the hot seat. If Carroll is indeed out in 5 weeks, the Raiders' next coach could be inheriting the skeleton of a competitive roster, along with the opportunity to target one of next year's top quarterback prospects. If the season ended today, Vegas would hold the 4th overall pick, with the Titans and Giants, teams that just use first-round picks on quarterbacks, likely picking before them. The Raiders could make a move for their preferred target. You know what I'm going to say? And this sounds crazy, I know, because I actually do think he has potential. But if Dante Moore or Fernando Mendoza is right there, and you're the Titans, I know they won't do it. But we got to remember, Cam Ward, it was pretty well chronicled that if Cam Ward would have came out in 2024, all right, where, Caleb, Jaden, Drake, and all those other guys came out, he would literally have been ranked behind all of them. That shows you how much they elevated the quarterback position. Like Cam Ward would have been way back there. Like some people, I did hear a few people that said, yeah, they might have had him ranked above, Michael Penix or Bo Nix, but he would have been way behind Caleb, Jaden, Drake, JJ. I mean, he would have been behind those guys. But the Titans took him as the number 1 overall pick because they didn't feel like there was another option. Well, the other option was Jackson Dart. Boy, the league cannot figure out quarterbacks. It's crazy. The biggest potential roadblock to this pairing might be the presence of minority owner Tom Brady. After dealing with one of the league's most hands-off owners in Art Rooney II, Mike Tomlin might not want to deal with an owner who appears to have his hands in everything. However, the Raiders would almost certainly give Tomlin a hero's welcome. And with a high draft slot and the second most projected cap space in the NFL, Vegas could improve its roster in a hurry. And this was out of a list of ideal landing spots in 2026 from NFL.com that put this up for Mike Tomlin. The Raiders came in at number 4. The Dolphins are on here. I think Mike McDaniel saved his job. Which, if you're the Raiders or the Eagles, that kind of sucks because he could have potentially been your next offensive coordinator. The Giants, I think, are still, and they've got, so I guess they got Giants 1, Dolphins, so they got the Raiders 3 on this list. Bengals 4, and I guess that's it. Wow. I guess the Bengals are an option. I don't know. I mean, Mike Brown don't like to get rid of coaches either. So if Mike Tomlin wants to go to a place and stay forever, it just everything feels like it's a driving force towards the New York Giants. That's just what it feels like. It's kind of akin, Tom Coughlin coached forever with the Jags and then left and came to the Giants, won a couple of Super Bowls, had good success with the Jags. But that just shows you, too, how coaches taper off. Because he was really good with the Jags for a long time, and then Coughlin tapered off. Coughlin was good with the Giants, and then he tapered off. I mean, Tomlin's just sort of flatlined. All right, 8-8, 9-8, 10-6, 10-7. That's been his flat line for how many years now? It's interesting. Yeah, that's one of the Tomlin thing could be the biggest story in the offseason, I think. A huge story. Tell me what you think. Peace. I'm out. Till next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.